All right, welcome back to another episode of Knicks Morning Koffee. I'm Mr. King. Y'all know my partner, Joe Cool.
What's the word?
All right, so we're going to get into the Knicks draft, or shall we say the Knicks draft night activity. And we're also going to get into the upcoming free agency, which happens to be 5 days away. But before that, please like, comment, subscribe, and share the video with a friend.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're trying to get to 500.
Tell a friend,
So
tell a
let's get
friend.
there.
All right, so everybody knew that was no secret. The Knicks didn't have a pick for this upcoming draft, which was, to me, this was a good draft. If you did have an early pick, like if we could have got Dallas Mavericks pick that they tanked for inside the top 10, we'd have got a real good player. But beside all of that, the Knicks made some moves after the draft, bringing in several players. Some who I think will stick. Some definitely will stick on the G League. But there's one or two that we'll go over that I think could actually stick on the main roster based on what might happen in free agency.
I don't know. Yeah, it was too much controversy for me. When you get into it, I was looking like.
Well, the puzzling one to everybody is Jacob Toppin, Obi's brother.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Yeah, that's the puzzling one because one, what does he bring, right? That Obi don't already bring.
Yeah, that's what I was confused
And
about.
then I heard something on one of the Knick radio stations that is similar to when, like, some of the Knick organizations Obi has ties to, and they want to try to keep him. And then that move is similar to the one with J.R. Smith and Chris Smith.
Yeah.
Some of them feel like they try to keep Obi. The problem ain't trying to keep Obi there. The problem is trying to, which we'll get into later, find minutes for Obi. That's the problem. I think Obi wants to stay, and if he wants to leave, that's because of everything that happened.
Now, speaking on that, though, Obi Toppin has frustration with that argument, that leak with him and Tibbs. So that's where my confusion come in. I know Ian Bagley on the NBA Insider, he was talking about how the Knicks should try the way to find a new home for him. So if he's
I don't
thinking,
agree with that.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. But if that's what they're thinking, that's why it's confusing. Like, why would you go get his brother? That's almost like a slap in the face. I don't even know.
I mean, if the brother was
the
bringing,
brother just as good, yeah. But
no, he's not just as good. He's like a hybrid himself. Yeah, a lot of them are saying that, that because Obi has good ties with the organization management, they will try to find a spot he want to go. I disagree because we don't got too many people until we start winning something, and we're going to get into that with Obi a little bit later. But because there's I think there's more behind that Obi Toppin thing. But every player argues with the coach. It's just that Obi has this, sweet, almost like choir boy image. That's probably whoever leaked it is what's shocking to people because Obi don't have that in your face confrontation mentality, not up front.
Well, we from New York, so I look at Obi a little bit different. I already look at, if you from New York, I already know he got a mean streak to him. Right? Not saying he's a bad person or anything. I could tell they look at him as he's the younger of the bunch. You know what I mean? He is, I think, one of the youngest on the team.
Nah, he actually he's not. Obi did 4 years.
Well, he did
So he's youngest in terms
young.
of being drafted on our team, but in terms of age, he's right there.
Or maybe personality.
Yeah, he's right there with the rest of them.
Youngest. Like when they always tell who plays around a lot, it's Obi. But I can see where his frustration come from. You do good, you get taken out the game. You're playing behind Randall. You're not getting a lot of minutes. The ball is not really, when they was playing around him, it was looking good. You know what I mean? We had no complaints. But then you have him as a spot-up shooter again when he can't shoot like that. So he can shoot, but he can't shoot like that. So then he probably frustrated with coach. I mean, in the audio, it seemed like I don't know what point he was talking about it, but
it was a game when he came. It was a game that he came out of. But we're gonna do a whole segment on Obi in this show today because something got to unravel there with Obi.
But this look like battle. I don't know at what point we're gonna get to. It look like battle of the forwards.
But listen, Obi got to understand that. And again, I want to jump because I want to spend some time on Obi. I want to get to these free agents. But Obi got to understand you playing behind, regardless of what anybody say about Julius, you playing behind a 2-time All-Star.
Yeah.
So in that sense, so we're gonna figure out some ways where Obi could be used and still stay in the lineup. But the frustration part has to be for Obi is that I don't care if I'm a backup, I'm a backup. But I'm not getting regular backup minutes. Julius getting the 35, 40 minutes a game. It's only 48 minutes in the game. So that's only leaving me with the, in terms of foul trouble, Julius, 10 to 13 minutes a game. That's the frustration because he's not getting the minutes. But for somebody to maybe try to, when they argue, play him instead of Julius, then you're losing your mind. Because Julius is still, regardless of what he don't do, he's respected around the league by the other coaches and players. And he's giving you production when he's out there. So we have to find a way to make them coexist, right? And part of that is with the coach. Now, but again, getting back to his brother, I if you're gonna just grab him, stash him in the G League or something like that, after trying him out in summer league, I could see. But that pick, I didn't get it. But sometimes we don't have to. Jalen Martin from Overtime Elite, those guys, they a little bit more seasoned. When they come in and he comes in with some skills. He can shoot. He's like a forward though, but he can shoot the ball. He can handle the ball. He's an athletic guy that could do some things. Got a mid-range game. Won't hurt you having him. And he's the type of guy, depending on what you do. Again, every player we got, depending on what happens in free agency, and I would probably say besides Jacob Toppin, could probably play a role depending on what happened this weekend. And then you go to Adam Sonigu, how you say his name, but the center from UConn. And UConn won the championship, so that means you come with a pedigree. Why he didn't get drafted, I don't know, but it's a 6'8" center with a bruising type of a body who do have some moves around the rim, but he plays under the rim. So, that move, it don't never hurt to have a player coming from a high IQ school. That don't never hurt. So I would just like to see, in terms of Jericho Sims, I would like to see Jericho Sims still get an opportunity. But you bring him, again, you're not going to pass up. If the guy's available, you bring him in because you didn't draft him. Right. But it's like you log jam in the forward center position, but at the same time, we don't have a center really scoring with their back to the basket. So I don't know if he would be used as a center or a forward, or is he just a piece that we're gonna work on and develop. But he come with some skills, even though he started playing basketball late in his life.
I said, stacking up to how Tibbs play their players, is he gonna get to do it? Is he gonna get to play with his back to the basket? Is the question. Well,
yeah, because you got to get a lot of teams. If you go to the G League and you do well, they find a rotation spot for you. We're bringing guys up from the G League, but we're not playing them.
Yeah.
So it's almost like leave them down there. Now this is where it got a little bit impressive for me. Drew Peterson out of USC. Now this guy is a shooter, a scorer, a playmaker, handles the ball, got footwork, and then he can even play a little bit of defense.
What is he?
And he got like that court wisdom. He's like one of them 6'7", 6'8" forwards, or 6'8" point guards. And shooting guards. But he's one of them guys like IQ, you can move him around depending on what you do. What happens with our backcourt. Because we'll get to that too. We didn't pick up Derek's option.
Yeah, right.
So that's $15 million. But this guy come with skills and he comes with a motor. And that's the one thing that hurts our team. Guys aren't bringing that motor to every game.
Right.
And this guy seems to be like a magnet around the ball. Yeah. And I definitely want him to get an honest look. For sure.
I didn't see a lot of those.
Yeah, I fell in love when I watched some of the stuff this guy can do. I was like, he gotta get, and they're saying like we don't got nowhere to put nobody as it stands right now, and I'm fine with that.
For a point guard.
Well, he ain't just a point guard.
So if we lost Derrick Rose, and then if he's better than Quickly, remember I always say that it got to be better than the person. The first five or the backup five. You got to be better than that. So if he plays better than that, then it is what it is.
Yeah,
that's the goal, to get somebody better than what you already have.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even try to say he's better than IQ. What I would say is that if something happened and IQ got moved, And we'll know more later as he's playing against more NBA competition. But he seems like a guy to me, as it stands, that he can do different things. You know, he can be a spot-up shooter. He can be the guy running and, you know, run some plays for you and finish. So that's something that he was an intriguing person to bring into me. And then you got Marcus Bagley. He's the brother of Marvin Bagley, who came into the NBA a few years ago. And he's another one. He comes with some skills. He definitely can shoot the ball. You know, a pure shooter who has mid-range and post skills. So people like that, they don't hurt you. He almost reminds me a little bit of Sadiq Bey, even though Sadiq Bey is stronger. He reminds me of that, you know, given a fair chance, if you had to have a guy like that he won't hurt you.
Right.
You know, so I think the people that they brought in, if you had to bring in a college five and still play in college, that would be a good college five. You would cover all the elements. But in terms of picking and plucking for the Knicks, where somebody might fit in, that remains to be seen. But we brought in people who, like one of them was 5-star recruit. You know, Marcus Bagley. You know, he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. So you know he's bringing a pedigree. So these are people that if they could fight for minutes or fight for time, you know, you got people to do that. And that's all you want is the next person under you to push the person in front of you.
Right.
And that seems like what they brought in. They brought in people who's going to push the person, and especially in the backcourt.
Yeah, he wasn't a draft pick, but I got his name down. He's been in the league 3 years. Isaiah Roby.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked good. I ain't gonna lie.
Well,
that's where I was gonna tell you what my confusion is. Like, it's a lot of forwards. So who's not playing? Who's getting shopped? Who's getting traded? So now it's like we gotta wait and see.
Well, Roby is an investment, and remember he's the guy they gave the contract to. We talked about last week.
So that's the guy.
Yeah, Isaiah Roby gave him that contract last game of the season. We gave him the contract. He didn't play. And I didn't get that. Like, I thought if you did, maybe this year we bringing him back as a lottery pick.
But the way he's the person I looked at, and he fits that new NBA that everybody's always talking about. Like, he's tall, he can shoot, he can drive, he can post, he can. So he plays 1 through 5. To me, when you watch him, he can bring the ball down the court. He plays defense. So he fits that new NBA that everybody's looking for. Maybe even Tibbs is looking for, because, like I said, nobody really plays to their back to the basket unless they allow you to.
Yeah, they allow. Yeah, but you got again. That's
Joel Embiid,
the
they
high.
allowed him to.
They're not down in the low post though. They mid range to high post with their back to the basket. So, but the thing with him, with Isaiah Roby you're talking about, and you look at this kid Drew Peterson that we picked up after the draft. These are guys that have a whole lot of skills with the ball. Do you get a chance to get those skills in our system? That seems to be our problem. Guys have skills, but in our system, everybody don't get a chance to do that.
Right.
You know, you either got to get it, shoot it, or get it, move it. It's one or the other. Only Randall, IQ, and Brunson, and then RJ. They're the only ones that really get a chance to dance with the ball.
Realistically, everybody really can't do that. So I get it.
Somebody
got to be the spot-up shooter. I think the problem with a lot of players today is, I think you say it all the time, is some people just can't play without the ball. Right?
Can't do it.
I mean, you coaching me, you train me well enough so I can move around without the ball, maybe because you always wanted the ball, but
that ain't true. I'm a multifaceted player.
But I think that should be in new players' repertoire, like how to move and spot up shoot or without the ball. And I think a lot of them don't really do that. When you look at their trainings seem like it's all about what they're gonna do when they
everybody imagine these guys, even if they don't play or get drafted, a lot of them are stars on their team. So you built your whole career as a kid being a star of your junior high school, your high school, your college team, your AAU team. And it's like now all of a sudden you're not prepared. You know, not even say to be the second, third, fourth fiddle. You're not prepared to be no fiddle. You're not prepared just to be out there. You don't got the mentality for that. And that's becoming a skill to be able to do that.
But I used to think, like looking at AAU ball, and I remember the Stephon Marbury League in New York. I used to think that if you played a run and gun style, you prepared to just do whatever you want. The whole team, because it's run and gun. You get the ball, you go. So
and that's when you're not.
I thought they would be prepared to do that by this time in the NBA. I thought it would have translated.
No, that's
but
the
for some
actually,
reason why the NBA just
but that's the total opposite because guys that are geared to run and gun, when you're not running, when a trap hits you, you stuck. You know, when you got to play certain half-court games, you're stuck. That's why a lot of teams like that Russell Westbrook play on, he played much better when it's faster because you don't got to think when it's running gun. You just react.
We said we was going to get into a little bit, but that Podcast P interview, I feel like it had a lot of gems that answered a lot of questions.
Well, we can talk about that one now.
We always have.
Before we get to free agency.
Yeah, but with a whole bunch of things. Like even with that, I know Randall, he was saying he plays better when there's like a better person on the court. So remember I kept saying that? I said maybe he needs a superstar. He was talking about with AD, when he had AD on the court, he played better.
I missed that part. Oh, he said, I didn't watch the whole thing.
Said, so when I was with AD, he said I played better because he made the game a lot easier. So then they gave props to Jalen Brunson. So when Jalen Brunson, it was like amazing. Like it made his game a lot easier. And I always said that's how they pointed it out. Because he was talking about how they would throw the triple teams at him. And he's like, oh, shoot, this is totally different.
Yeah.
I think when he said he got traded to New Orleans, he said he thought he was ready. He wasn't to be the guy. And then you get to New York, you accept the challenge, and you killing, and then all of a sudden they throw 3 people at you. And you like, what is this? So Paul George said the same thing when he was on the Pacers. He said he's killing, they don't got a scouting report, and then he see one of his homies on the team. He said, well, our report is on you. So he's like, the game is way harder, so you got to elevate your game and change your game to that. So that was very informative on like how NBA players are thinking. That's all I cared about. It had me have a change of heart on Julius when I was watching it. Yeah, because I'm like, are you aware that they're doing this?
If you go back 2 years ago with Julius, when I was tooting Julius' horn, that was one of the things that we was talking about. Is that when Marcus, when one of the twins left, who was taking all of those shots from Julius. Now Julius shouldn't have been picked to be the man on our team anyway when we brought him in. But he was. But then it quickly turned into one of the twins. One of the twins team because he was taking all the shots. Then when he left and it was back on Julius, it was easy until the rest of the league started figuring out this is the guy we got to stop. Right. And then we were saying that back then that if they can double triple him easy, remember we said nobody's preparing for nobody but Julius. Now Brunson, towards the end of the season, he was doing it since we got him. He's built that pedigree now that when the season starts this year, they're still going to focus on Julius, but they definitely going to have their eyes on Brunson. Like they're not going to trap Brunson to take the ball out of his hand. Right. But they definitely going to, because the scouting reports knows that we have to rattle Julius. Get in Julius' face, and send blind double teams at him, and then he's finished. So yeah, it's good. It is good to hear him say it.
But what was funny about it though, right before that, he said he don't watch film like that. He didn't watch film like that. And you would think if you want to be the man and you've been with Kobe,
I heard that.
All Kobe do is watch film.
Yeah, I heard that. I didn't believe when he said that.
Yeah, I was like, and then when he said when he watched film, he said he watched like old Kobe highlights and watch footwork, and that's cool and all, because that's how you kind of train, right? You show what this person is doing, and you go outside and you practice it. But I'm like, you ain't watch no film. You didn't know they was gonna be scouting for you.
Yeah, I didn't believe it. So, I don't know. I thought that was a nervous answer because I couldn't believe coming out of LA like you said with Kobe, even coming to the Knicks with Thibodeau. Because most teams, this is the part that bugged me out when he said it too. Most teams, their video person hands players film. Like this is your homework.
And that's what Paul George was saying. He said his video, they hand
film. See.
Paul George said, he said like 3 people. He said he got like 3 ways you get film. The person that's watching the game, that coach will give you film. Another person, he'd be like, he'd have a suggestion like, can you give me film on like maybe things he's doing wrong or doing right? And then he'll go and look up certain things. Yeah. Maybe he got to get himself hyped before the game and watch highlights of the game. What Julian Randle say he do now. But it's like, I would think you will watch all that stuff.
Yeah, that's why I said
I'll be watching what they would be saying on
what
ESPN,
are you training?
Maybe they pointing out something I just ain't seeing.
Yeah, what are you actually training if you're not watching film? So I don't know if he meant watching film of himself or watching film of the opponents. But I didn't believe it. I just found out in the day.
He said he was working on his jump shot in the Lakers. I didn't know he didn't have no shot. He said Kobe said work on that broke ass shot. And then he said he started going to go do that, but I didn't know he came in the league with no jump shot. So that's kind of impressive that you ain't had no jump shot. And now all you do is
because you gotta look at that's the height. Even though they still doing it, that was the height of the one and done era. So at Kentucky, you could say he was a beast. And had he stayed 2-3 years at Kentucky, he'd have been a more polished player. But you couldn't take nothing away. Had he got drafted to the Lakers and Kobe wasn't there, we would have seen that type of ferocious player.
Well, not for nothing, to his credit, he said the coach, what was his name, Kentucky, he told him, he said, you're not staying there.
Well, they know that.
Yeah, he said, you leave. He told him to his face. He's like, this it. He said, and then when they lost, he said, you definitely not staying here. He said, we lost. Like, you going to the NBA.
You leaving. You out of there. He ain't got no room for you, like what happened to our boy Isaiah Briscoe. He should have left after that first year that he had to play behind De'Aaron Fox. He should have left. He should have just got up out of there. He was too good of a point guard at that time to be playing behind somebody else. But when you over-recruit, that's what happens.
Right.
So Isaiah came back the second year. In the first year, he played behind somebody else. So, you got to get up out of here. And that's how Kentucky is. But what I also liked about, and we'll just jump ahead and we'll go back to the regular free agency. I like the respect that Paul George showed Randall,
right,
even in the introduction, because something I felt all along. I also, being that we're on the topic of free agency, I also felt they was setting it up just in case Paul George gets to come to the Knicks.
And then that's where I was like skeptical, because I'm like, they said the Knicks are trying to get Paul George. And I wanted to call you, but I said, let's save it for the show. Paul George seemed like he want to play with Randall. But how does that work? Does Paul George go to a different position? Does he go to like the 3?
Well, you got to realize Paul George, he's a 3 by trade, but he play a lot of 2.
Yeah.
So if we would get him, definitely at the 3. So
I'm saying.
Yeah.
4, 3.
Nah, ain't no 4. He's 3.
No, Randall 4, right?
Yeah, him Randall 3. 4, him 3. But he plays a lot of 2 also.
Okay.
When he came in the league, he was a 3, but he played 2 because they had Granger. So he played the 2. Then when Granger left, he moved to the 3, or injuries. And I think he played some 2 with Clippers because Kawhi was playing 3. But he's a 3, technically. But it seemed like they were setting that up. And then, so on the subject of Paul George, the Knicks, like other teams, were inquiring because the Clippers put it out there to gauge interest. So it's like they just called up and said, we want Paul George. Now, when they inquired, they backed out of the talks. The Knicks did. Because of what they felt that they was going to want too much. And they don't want to gut their whole team. But I got a feeling that they would give up RJ. And I think they're going to go back to that talk. I think to probably to see the interest with RJ in that trade. Before he wasn't. But at the same time, the Clippers are moving into their new arena. And that's the dilemma. You got to make sure that when you go into that new arena, people are going to follow. Yeah. Right. Now, you're going to have Kawhi. You're probably going to have him for 30 games. So you know how he play. So if you could sell RJ, we talked about that last week. If you can sell RJ to a team that they can build around and get hype on, from how he came out of high school and Duke, now you might can make that work. But the Clippers now, because it's 2 folds, they want to get out of his contract, but they also want to make sure they got people to put in them seats. So that talk to me ain't dead. Regardless of people feel about it, his age, it ain't dead, because let's just compare the 2 with the Zach LaVine thing. Zach LaVine 10 years younger. To me right now, the way the league is set up, and with the young guys I got on my team, I'm taking Paul George over Zach LaVine.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely taking Paul
with his injuries, if we only giving up certain things.
Yeah, my bias on Paul George is that he was a pacer. That's my only thing with Paul George. I can't look at him the same because he was a pacer.
But I mean, the way that right now, the way our team is right now with him and Randall and Brunson, and you get to hold on to Mitch, you got something going.
Right.
I mean, he got injuries, all right, but he's gonna be there most of the season. Your only hope is that he's there at the end of the season. But he wouldn't have to do as much with us.
Right.
He don't got to handle the ball as much. because we got Brunson, he don't got to take over the whole scoring load.
All he got to do is do his thing. Like,
well, he handles the ball a lot though too, between him and Kawhi. But still, Randall now understands after playing with Brunson the second half of the season, I'm better without the ball. Yeah. I think he knows that now. So, like you said, he makes my game easier. So things like that can happen.
Speaking of that, one more thing I wanted to touch on, even though he's leaving, the highly respect that he had for D Rose, right? The leadership that he said D Rose gave, that it was like needed in the locker room and on the court, even though he didn't play, and he made the game way more easier. Like he don't have to talk, but you can see if he's saying something that it means something. Mm-hmm. So I felt like, damn, the fact that we not bringing him back, that kind of lose some of the leadership that we had. I mean, yeah, you get the contract, but
I mean, in this case, it's not to say you can't bring him back. It's a matter of what D Rose's preference is. You can't bring him back for that 15, 16 million.
Jackie Long said, I wish he would have played more, and then Randall said, you're going to get me in trouble. So that's one of them tip things that's like, damn, even everybody see it. He's not Jackie Long, not even a Knicks fan.
Well, yeah,
and
he's Derrick Rose was he was a player of the year.
More.
Yeah, of course, people want Derrick to play more, and he should have played in the playoffs.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the fact that Randall says you're going to get me in trouble, he couldn't even speak on it.
No, he probably was joking. I don't think Randall cares. That probably was just a joke. And then at the same time, you don't even know behind the scenes what guys is thinking about. Because remember, Randall came from Kentucky. There's a lot of Kentucky players in the league.
Right.
You know, and he did allude to, which I thought was interesting, they not always close, all the Kentucky alums. They all respect each other when they see each other, but they're not always close as we thought. Yeah.
But he said that is realistic. Like,
yeah,
I know a lot of people from high school and that went to my school. That don't mean you're friends with them.
No, I mean, like, you know, Kentucky they gave the impression that in the summer, when you go back, like North Carolina and Duke, when the players go back in the summertime, all the veterans come back, play pickup. But the way they do it, I guess Cal brings everybody back because it helps his recruiting. Right. And it fast track your rookies, you got your freshmen going into the next season to be playing a lot of the summer with all-star players, NBA players. So that's smart, but that's just a pride thing. But that was interesting that he said that. All right, so as far as free agency, this is one thing we got to realize too with the Knicks. Unless everybody comfortable coming back, making a minimum change, then, and like our team, like I like our team. I think we need something in that lineup. And I just have to pick on RJ just for a second. A player in that lineup that's more consistent, that really can shoot. If this is the team we're coming back with. But if it came back with RJ, it wouldn't mind me at all. But people aren't dumping contracts. Like, if we to get somebody good, you're gonna have to give up somebody good. Because it ain't like people dumping salaries. And with that new CBA thing next year, where it's gonna be harder to sign your own players, you know, to have all these max contracts. Like they said, Phoenix got 4 now, but they're gonna have to fill their roster out with minimum players, even though you can sign your own that you already got. Because the way the money gonna be set up, you're gonna be able to have all these players. They're trying to even out the roster.
Yeah, I know they started to make a fuss about it when they was like the owner and the person's agent, his father and son, and that's the only reason why it went through. They said other than that, it would have never went through.
Yeah.
But I think Chris Paul was in a situation like that before, so I don't think they're gonna do it twice. Because if you feel like that he that good, he would have rings by now. So you can't do that twice.
Yeah.
I don't remember where he was gonna get traded, where they stopped it, but
that was the Lakers.
Lakers, what, Kobe?
Yeah.
Now that I look back at it, that could have went through.
At the time, they was trying to stop the super team stuff. At that time, no, that time it'd have been a beast. Now looking back at Kobe too, because Kobe liked to have the ball in his hand. But that would have been deadly. A young Chris Paul with Kobe, that was gonna be insane. Now ask me what you think about, because they had me fooled a few weeks ago when I kept hearing about the Knicks are looking into another Villanova star. You know, of course, I'm thinking about the one the Nets got, Bridges. So, but all that, well, I guess they are inquired about him, but it was Dante DiVincenzo, the guard they was looking at. Now, I wouldn't, again, depending on what happened with our roster, I'd take him, you know, for like a mid-level. He probably would be somewhere in that $12 million $11, $12 million range. I bring him in. He's a shooter, defender. You know, got hard. Up in Villanova, he was one of them kind of players. And I think Miami had him. He didn't stay there because they had, you know, you got Hero and them guys. And then he was out with Golden State. I don't know if it was injuries or why. They got so many shooters in Golden State. But I for surely, I would take him. You know, as far as because he would be like having Hero to me.
Yeah, I would take him. I think our only problem with the Knicks is we at the point now is we like our players still.
Well, that's why I say
it's like if you take a guard, that means you either gonna trade somebody, so that would be like Quickly, or what's the other dude that we like?
Grimes.
No, not him.
Deuce.
Yeah, Deuce. Like that means he don't get no more playing time. So it's like things like that is what I be thinking about. If you're gonna get a guard, that means you're gonna put Quickly in the trade.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go get a forward, that means you putting like RJ or Randall.
Well, you're also protecting yourself.
Or Obi in the trade.
You're also protecting yourself.
Somebody's replacing somebody.
Well,
we just don't know who replacing who.
Yeah.
Or not. So that's my only thing. We ain't go out and get no more centers. We got the one, but who he replacing?
Well, look at this. Speaking of center, now you remember we used to go. Nas Reed play for Minnesota, backup center. So you remember we used to go when you're in high school. We would go watch Isaiah Briscoe play. Bobby would take us to the game. And Nas Reed, he was a freshman. He was a freshman sophomore on that team.
Right.
He wasn't even the biggest guy on that team up front. Then he goes to college, and then he ends up in Minnesota. And all the time, Bobby kept saying, the Knicks need Nas Reed. I didn't think so because he's not a big scorer to be down there. He's not the greatest shot blocker. He's a big body, but his stock rose. And now they're saying that, you know, people are going to be really trying to get this guy. And he's supposedly on the Knicks radar. So to have a big local kid, you know, that won't hurt. It's just that where do you, like, I don't want to give up on Hartenstein I'd rather take Hartenstein's passing skill over another brute big man. You know what I'm saying? Like especially having Tibbs as coach. So I would like to have him because we always partial to the Jersey guys.
Yeah, but with Hartenstein, the crazy part is for me, the way Denver won. If we had Hartenstein, I would want to play that play style with Hartenstein. Now, when you got Brunson and Randall and RJ, it sounds crazy, but I feel like it works, right? Because everybody else can score, and if he want to pass, first, let him do that. And if he can score multiple plays, let him do that. I feel like the game is way more easier when you do that with the big man.
Yeah.
So depending on who we get at center, I feel like that's how we should play with our play style. But incorporate the big man more, because what they did with Mitch and how that was, I didn't like that.
Yeah, we're not getting.
If he's gonna play defense, I don't know if that rule changed, but you got to feed the big man. I don't care how you do it.
Yeah, the ball got to come back out.
That way, yeah,
he just got to come back out. You got to put some eyes on that guy down there, just even to keep him playing hard.
Especially the way Denver won, we're having all these big men, and they all kind of play different. But when they in the game, they play catered to how that big man plays. The game gonna change, yeah, but that's still gonna be the key factor right there. How that big man move.
Yep, and that's where the league is going. I mean, it's still a guard league.
Yeah, it's still positionless. Cause way Jokic play is still positionless. Cause he shoot threes, he pass, he move. He's not bringing the ball down like Giannis, but he's still
done
doing
it. He don't do it as much,
but
and he's effective when he do it.
Yeah, so if we're gonna do that, then Hartenstein they gotta get him out his shell or let him play his game, and it eases up Brunson to where he can play more like a 2. You know what I mean? Our point guard don't gotta play like point guards. They can play how they want to play. If he want to drop 30, he can, because the way Hartenstein gonna move.
Yeah,
that's how I see it. I don't know. I don't think players would have an issue with that. Once you get the ball, you can shoot. Now you can play how you want to play.
Yeah, he should have been able to shoot anyway. But this was the Knicks gotta, like you're talking about. There's been a lot of activity before free agency actually hits, which I was shocked how the league is going now. You have before the draft, teams made some major moves.
Because I don't think they want to waste no time.
And then, and you had the draft. Now you got the free agency starts in a couple of days. And major names have already moved. So some of the names are names that was tied to the Knicks. Now, did we want all those names? No, I personally didn't want Bradley Beal. I thought he was too much money when Washington gave him that last year, 2 years ago. I thought they overpaid for him. Not even because of the injuries. I thought they just overpaid for him. I like him as a player, but I don't like him in that caliber of money. Porzingis was on the radar. That was intriguing to bring him back.
Because it looked like he didn't want to go at first.
Yeah, and it looked
like he was trying to hold out to go to the Knicks. But
yeah, and it still might happen from what I was reading something in a year. That still could be a possibility. CP3, a lot of us were torn between him coming and not coming. Well, now you got to worry about it. Although, from what I'm hearing too, he may not even stay at Golden State. Golden State may just buy him out. And I think they say he might want to be in LA with his family. His family never left LA from when he was with the Clippers.
Oh, wow.
Jordan Poole, now he ain't no star, but I think Golden State, they wanted to get out from under that contract they should have never gave him in the first place. But I think that stuff with Draymond Green,
yeah, it would make Draymond happy.
I thought they should have still kept Jordan Poole. You couldn't restructure his contract if you're trying to keep Draymond, because Draymond wants to get paid. But in their case, you don't know how long you got Clay for, right? So, and then they talk about he got the money, then he stopped playing, and they said sometimes you could tell a player after he get a big contract. I think they moved too fast on Jordan Poole. Now they got the internal financial reasons, but I don't think it had nothing to do with the contract. I think it had more to do with a healthy Clay, because even though they won the championship, him, Clay, Steph, Draymond, Clay wasn't fully healthy. Clay had some good shooting games when they won that championship. But now, the more Clay was healthy, getting his major minutes, the ball ain't finding Poole the way it used to. And he went into that shooting slump that they couldn't believe what happened. But I think he still got it. Now, to be the man on your own team, I don't know. He'll probably put up 20-plus points next year.
Like Randall and Paul George said, it's easy until the scouting report said.
Yeah, but
so
that's
now,
why I thought they should have held on to him, because you don't know how long you got Clay. But you shouldn't have gave him that big a contract in the first place. Then you wouldn't be in that scenario. I don't think it was more to please Draymond Green as it was more for that Draymond could still get paid. If you still decide to pay him. But that's, to me, he's too good a shooter. I don't care that he left them, but he's too good a shooter. They don't come along. Real shooters like that don't come along. Especially he fits your system in Golden State. So I don't know. To me, they jumped the gun. Now, Marcus Smart was thrown in the trade, in earlier trade. That's a play I always said I would like to have had. He fits he fits our system, and he fits Miami's system. So to see a person like that get away, that's why I said before with the Knicks, sometimes people are not available, but you don't know they're available till you ask. Like, you got to inquire about players. You never know what a team is thinking. Yeah, they might love you, but the right deal come along, they may throw you in it. And you don't never know when people say, oh, you'll never get, no, ask. People ain't walking to the Knicks in free agency. It hasn't happened. Most of the time they trade it to us. So unless you get out there and make some deals and be shrewd, we're not going to get all them type of players. Brunson wanted to come. That's a different type of a scenario because we know his history. With Thibodeau and his father and all that type of stuff. But most guys, they don't come to you that way. So I just think that as players at the Knicks, I look at Chris Middleton, right? He's a free agent this summer. Just inquire. You just don't know what you may or may not have to give up. You don't know what Milwaukee's really thinking. They're probably going to pay him, I'm sure, to keep Giannis happy. But you never know till you ask. Just ask, see what happens. So now people say, yeah, he's too old. No, just drop him in you're talking about Paul George, drop Middleton in your small forward spot with the team we got. Changes your dynamic. It could be on the downcline. His downcline is better than any small forward that we had, since Carmelo. So to me, I look at that more than I look at the opportunity to win a championship is now, because there's no clear-cut favorites. Nobody thought about Denver going into the season. Nobody damn sure thought about Miami going into the season. But you got to get in there and play your game and play ball. And look what happened. Now, Kyrie's unrestricted. Now, we know we don't want Kyrie, but somebody going to inquire about him. Just the fact because he's an unrestricted free agent. Van Fleet is unrestricted. Again, I don't want no more small backcourt. I don't want two small backcourts. But again, it's going to be moves to be made.
I'll take Kyrie. I don't care.
I
don't
mean-
want him per se. I'm going to show job the tears. I know that.
Well, I mean, that's
He might be hype. It's still close to home, back at home with his Jersey family.
You don't know- I mean-
he in New York.
I mean, if you
Like,
get him,
actual New York.
everybody's attitude will change if you got him. But if you had to be hypothetically about getting him,
What he gonna say now? New York flat? I don't know. I don't care.
hey. But my point too is, with these type of players available, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other teams may try to get these type of players. To get these type of players, they got to move other good pieces on their team to make money work. This is where our management got to be, and we're going to talk about our management too in a few minutes, but this is where our management got to be on top of their game. People are going to be moving. You got to look at people's rosters. And you got to say, okay, they might be looking to do this, and this, and them other players, we could use them.
Do you think that CAA and
Well, that we're going to
hold
hold on to that for 1 second, because that's going to I got a segment on that. We're going to get to that. But remember what you just said. Now, how about I can never say his name, Nikola Vucevic, the center from the Bulls. He's a free agent. Would you remember last year was talk. We didn't want to swap Mitch, but that was some talk last year. A big man that can score, can block some shots, can run the floor. In Tibbs' system, he would work, but I would still rather have Mitch. But he's a center that if you get the ball, he's going to be able to score something around the basket.
Right.
But again, these are just interesting things. Now, Jeremy Grant, unrestricted. Small forward we had eyes on last year. Do you try to entice him over? How much would it cost? And these are small forwards that can help us now. These are people that can help us now if you just look. Dylan Brooks. Gabe Vincent, he's too small for me, but the shooter, he's unrestricted. It's people out there.
Dylan Brooks get on my nerves, but I'll take him.
Kyle Kuzma has a player option. Somebody just to look at. You never know.
They don't be liking Kyle Kuzma, but I'll take him.
Yeah. Kelly Oubre, I'm not as fond of him as I used to be.
Yeah, nah.
A player that I always like coming off our bench, if we could, he's unrestricted, is Karis LeVert. I love to have that scoring machine coming off our bench. He's 6'6". He could handle the ball, but he's more of a shooting guard. We got a lot of those, but depending on what you do, a guy like that, a bucket getter, don't hurt you. I mean, a bucket getter whose mindset is to score. Them kind of guys coming off your bench, they don't hurt you. And then, of course, you remember how I used to love Christian Wood. Unrestricted. Let's just inquire. Never know, just to see. See where it can go, if it can fit, and could you make it work. You just never know what these type of people, they're not going to come along. People that you actually need, they ain't going to come along that often. So if you got a chance now to grab a couple of them players, if you're not happy with what you got, you say we need a big stretch four, they can come off the bench. He could be a stretch four and maybe some backup. I would inquire about that just to see. And then real quick too, with our own free agents, Josh Hart got the player option. Of course, he opted out because he wanted to make a little bit more money. D Rose team option, they decided not to pick him up. Deuce McBride's a team option. They'll probably take the option because right now he's only getting like almost $2 million a year. Probably to give him a little more, of course. IQ and Obi, their thing is next year. So you don't have to do nothing until the season starts, or you got to wait and let them become a free agent. But they will be a restricted free agent, I'm pretty sure. So you got choices to make with them. And then on the front with Obi, now IQ as a starter, he averaged 22 points a game when he started for us. And then Obi averaged 20 something in the limited time that he started. So I mean, you got value in those players. I think the thing with Obi is, like we said earlier, it's not his fault he's playing behind Randall. It's Tibbs' fault that you can't find a way to make it work. Okay, you don't want them at the 4 and the 5. I can get that. But I don't see when everybody say, and I'll argue with anybody on that, because if you coach, especially in this positionless basketball, the things that Obi do on the court, when they say Obi can't play the 3, why can't Obi play the 3? When you look at how he's moving around the basketball court, everything he's doing on the basketball court is as a 3 player. He's hanging around the perimeter. He's ducking underneath, right, which threes do. He's shooting the three. And when you let him, he got a mid-range game. When you give him the ball, he's proven he could do that.
Yeah, I would put him at the 3 anyway.
And then they talk about the naysayers that he can't guard. Okay, well, in Tibbs' system, he'll learn how to. He has a hard time guarding anyway. In Tibbs' system, that's why one of the reasons Tibbs don't like him, because he can't guard the way he wanted him to guard, which is a coach's preference. But how many players or small forwards can guard? When you think about it, think about the small forward position. Just because he's not a defender doesn't mean people are going to walk down and score on him every time they get the ball.
Yeah,
it's and so it's just that I don't never try to get frustrated with other people's opinion of players because I don't know who ever coached before or what they really know about basketball. But to flat out say he can't play the 3 when his whole game is predicated around the 3, even though he's plugged into the 4 position. Why can't he play the 3? And then with these teams now that have bigger guys, when you look at Denver, what's the name is 6'10", Michael Porter Jr., right? The other one is 6'9", 6'10", Aaron Gordon. You're going to need bigger players when you run up against them type of teams too. He can't score on one of them teams.
That's what I'm saying.
Right, and even those teams, those guys don't take the ball and take you right to the basket. So you can't guard. You don't got to stop them every time. You can't stay in front of them guys. Right.
I mean,
so
when I look at Obi, I've never seen 4 anywhere. I thought they put him at the 4. I didn't think he was a 4.
Well, in college he played down low, but the ball was his.
Yeah, he don't
so it's
move
different.
like a 4.
Yeah, so
4 to me is like a big body post up, like a Randall.
Yeah.
Other than that, you a 3, damn near 2.
And in Tibbs' system, in his system, look at Randall's a 4, but Randall actually plays as a 3, but he's a 4. So it's just a matter of you put guys out there and you play your team game. And when the Knicks are running, which they were doing most of the time, in the open court, you wouldn't want him on your wing in the open court, right? While the defense is occupied by Randall, you wouldn't want to see this guy running down the lane. Hey, I'd take it, but again, everybody has their own preference. But if I don't see why we can't find him some minutes. He don't even have to start for us at the 3. But I don't see why he can't get no minutes there. Just to keep him happy, and it helps your team.
Right.
Now in terms of the trade, and we're gonna get to this part too. Teams inquired about Obi for draft night, and then it was said that World Wide West upped the ante and he wanted 2 first-round picks for Obi, to make sure that he don't go nowhere. So the asking price was too high, and then it was said to believe that Tibbs don't mind getting rid of Obi and probably don't mind getting rid of RJ. Because when I was watching the Knicks thing last night on their channel, they was talking about a clip Derrick Rose had said when they asked Derrick Rose what type of player do Tibbs like, and Derrick said, "Well, it ain't Obi."
For real?
Yeah. So, but we know that. But this was my other question that I said to hold on to that
crazy?
thought.
Even Obi was doing all the dirty work, all the.
Obi plays. He played basketball.
He played hard. So
yeah.
I don't know what kind of player you can ask for. And then defense wise, like you said, I think he's playing decent defense to me.
Yeah. Sometimes people get locked into what they deem. And it ain't that many Bruce Bowens. Who's a modern guy that, Jimmy Butler plays D, but he don't lock you up. You know what I'm saying? Like he comes in and helps, but I give him he plays. He's there. I don't know how many guys. I'm trying to think how many guys do that. Grimes will get up in you, right? But how many times they scoring still?
Yeah.
Right. So you coach. You implement your defense. Now Obi has a hard time with that already.
Yeah, I don't think
but they said the same thing. But Melo's only going to be a first-time Hall of Fame, right? So I'll say give him some of the minutes. I wouldn't want to lose him unless he's involved in some kind of nice trade that you can use right away.
Right.
But for his 10, 13 minutes a game when Randall is healthy, that's got to be frustrating for any play.
Yeah.
But my question is, and to get back to yours, is who's running the Knicks, right? Who's running the organization? Because is it Leon Rose? Is it World Wide West? We know Dolan's been quiet. Is it Tom Thibodeau? Who's making these decisions? Now, is it CAA or do Clutch have say Clutch Sports, Rich Paul, do they got any say in who we get? Because there was an article came out that Rich Paul supposedly had said, I don't want none of my players going to the Knicks. And I assume that's probably because the way Redding was treated, the way Cam Reddish was treated. But why would you say, I don't want none of my players? Now, teams are going to do what they want to do. They want to get rid of their players. But as an agent, why would you discourage your players from coming to the Knicks? Now, I know you're supposed to have bad blood with Leon Rose, because I believe that was LeBron's agent before they developed Clutch Sports. So there may be some bad blood. But to say, I don't want none of my players going there, to me, that's not a move that an agent should make. You know, for the sake of the NBA, period. Like, that should be questioned. You shouldn't have that type of power.
I mean, he that's probably got to do with, you know, how he got there, agent drama. Remember, a lot of the agents didn't like how he was innovating the game. Yeah. And then a couple of that weird how they treated Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish wasn't treated fair, and they got him out of there. It was easy to get him out of there than like Obi, right? So,
well, Cam got a raw deal. I mean, yeah, he got it. He got now looking back.
Now that I think about it, did Tibbs lose the locker room at the end of the year? Like, now that I think about it, RJ was frustrated. Obi was frustrated. Randall wasn't playing right. The only person that had his head on straight was Brunson. Brunson was more vocal. D-Rose just sitting on the bench doing nothing. Fournier, you could tell he was frustrated. Didn't play not a. Even though he a
now that
I look at it, did he lose the locker room and did like what Ty Lue said and he didn't say nothing? Like, I ain't gonna admit that, but maybe you did.
I don't know if he did, but if that played a role in the CAA players,
it probably did.
Then that would mean that the Knicks would be, because that would have to come from the top. So that would make us more dysfunctional than if James Dolan was doing it. If that would have really been, look at Fournier, we couldn't find some minutes. We needed a shooter,
and that's
right?
Under the hood.
Derrick Rose, like if that all played a part in all of that, yeah, that makes us.
I don't even really want to put that in the atmosphere.
Well, that would make
under
us
the hood, because Dolan not gonna say nothing because this is the most successful we've been in how long? Everybody's satisfied with the Knicks. So even in our frustration, we still satisfied. Like, we like, all right, we can't ask for no more. Like, yeah, we want a superstar, but it's under the hood. It's a family affair. You probably could have let go of RJ a long time ago, but you're not going to do it because of this. You want to let go of Obi. He ain't even doing nothing wrong, but because what Tibbs say, because Tibbs is part of the family, right?
Yeah,
Brunson part of the family.
Yeah, but now
RJ part of the family.
Yeah, but West, supposedly West, remember he tried to get Tibbs traded last year. And then Tibbs was saying they had no problem with West. West still wants him out. But Leon don't want him out. So that's why I say who's running the Knicks? You know, I know you're looking for a GM. Who's in charge over there to make these decisions? Because now, because of Leon and West's friendship, which was supposed to be a match made in heaven when we got them as a pair, bringing in all these plays, that hasn't even materialized. But is West being a detriment to Leon's decision making? Like, because you're questioning his decision making, then you want what you want for the Knicks based on your relationship.
I mean, I still feel like that's fine, right? You're not gonna like that. Keeps everybody honest.
If it didn't cost us in the playoff, look back at the playoffs where players that could have played, D Rose could have played, Fournier could have played. Like,
who fault is that? Ain't West's fault. If West don't really like Tibbs' system or the way Tibbs is coaching, how's that West's fault?
No, I'm talking about if he's getting in Leon's ear and then Leon's relaying the messages of what you want out of the coach, who you want to see on the floor, who you don't want to see on the floor. Are these things being under the table? Are they being parlayed to the coach? Because that decision making too, things could have helped us get past Miami, which everybody thought we would be.
So our coach is so stubborn.
We don't know, but we don't know what's being told to him.
I know right now, they always got the underlying stuff for older coaches and younger coaches. Well, maybe younger coaches is more player friendly and they understand the game a certain way. Maybe they just don't want to change. I'm thinking about any given Sunday with the coach. The new player, Jamie Foxx, he want to run and do everything, but now the receivers and everybody not getting the ball. Is it the same thing in the NBA or with the Knicks? I mean, I don't really want to unpack that too much because if that is true, that's gonna make the Knicks fall apart again.
Well, one thing people got to realize too, Because on one hand, we're saying we did really good this year. We want to continue to build. Well, if we continue to build, let's don't play musical chairs with our players. Mm-hmm. And then the other hand, people also got to realize to get better, sometimes a change got to make. If the player don't get better, a change got to be made. And then to understand that, in this so-called great season that we had, it was great compared to the year before. But we won 47 games. We didn't win 57 games. You know what I'm saying? So that 10 game, great would have been 57 games. We had a really, really good season. We had a great season compared to the year before when everybody flamed out. But we didn't have a great season.
And it wasn't expected us to do that. I mean,
it wasn't expected, but I think anything was going to be more than what happened.
Last year I was saying I don't want to hit nothing else, but this year, if somebody fall apart, depending on the player, and we didn't make no moves, then I'm checked out of certain plays.
I'm ready. Yeah,
I'm not really checked out of certain plays right now, but like say if RJ mess up or he don't play,
the only thing RJ
I think
all RJ got to do is be consistent.
I think the bar was too high. Canadian Mamba, when you said that, I thought like, all right, maybe he gonna do more. Like he ain't watching no Kobe film. I know that.
And the way he might be, but to his ability is that strong left, going right, going back strong left. It works for him. That should be put into our game plan.
I be thinking I'm on here talking crazy. I'm gonna meet RJ one day, but I remember what you said. I'm gonna be like, listen.
Well, he do something when he got this thing where he activate or whatever. I don't know if that's a video game thing or what. But when he think he's ready to get rolling, remember he does this type of thing
or lock in, whatever that.
Yeah, but his only way for me is to be consistent. He is who he is. But be consistent.
Right.
Be consistent in your 20 points. You're not going to be consistent in your shooting. That's just not going to happen. He's a person that can shoot, but he has to be hot to shoot.
Right.
So it's up to you to keep that in your lineup, meaning the Knicks. So if you keep that in your lineup, then he's held accountable for his consistency as a player. Can't have 20 for 3 games and then come back with 6 and seem like you're not even on the court for 5 games. Can't have that. Your position is too important. So even when they're talking about, going back to real quick, Obi, not a 3, okay, you trying to tell me that given the same minutes as RJ, Obi can't be consistent like that, given the same minutes and touches as RJ? Nah, that's insane to say that he can't. He'll find a way to score, even if it's not always with the 3s. He'll find a way to get his buckets.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so there's still a lot to unpack, but we're gonna wrap this up. But again, free agency is 5 days away. The Knicks did pick up some little decent pieces after the draft. Pieces that could help you in certain spots. So we'll see how all that unfolds, depending on what happened to our players. All right, but in the meantime, remember to like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend.
Tell a friend.
Peace.
Peace.